Hello, busy dads and busy people everywhere. If you're new here, welcome. This is the channel all about the Busy Dad program. The Busy Dad program is the remarkably simple, effective, and time-efficient training protocol that I've been following for the past 19 and a half months since my daughter was born. It has made fatherhood a time of unparalleled physical flourishing for me, and it can do the same for you. If you can find just 80 minutes from within your week, and if you can set those minutes aside for intentional physical training according to the protocols of the Busy Dad program, it can work its magic on you just as it has on me. Now, today's video, my friends, is another installment in our new series, Busy Dad FAQs. These are the videos where I answer frequently asked questions about the way that the Busy Dad program works on a kind of week in, week out basis, and the training principles that underlie the system. In today's video, I want to talk a little bit about the 4-tiered level system that governs the system. You might ask, why do we need this 4-tiered level system in the Busy Dad program? Why can't we just make do with the idea that we have an 80-minute a week buy-in that is a minimalist program revolving around just the Navy SEAL and the 6 count? Why, in addition to that structure, do we need to have this 4-tiered level system? What makes it important? Why is it that that system is, in your mind, the most important part of BDP of all? I want to explain in this video today. And there are really two angles that I want to come at this question from. One has to do with the way in which the 4-tiered level system promotes physical fitness, and the second has to do with the way in which the 4-tiered level system promotes a fundamental reorientation in our thinking about training. Let's start with the point to do with physical fitness. I've said this time and again, and I will never tire of repeating it. I do not care how many burpees you can do. That is immaterial to me. What I care about is how many burpees you can do within a given time frame. That is to say, in the Busy Dad program, we define fitness not in terms of absolute training volume, but in terms of volume relative to time. What we're all about here is improving our volume to time ratio. Why is that? Here's why. You can improve your absolute training volume without becoming any fitter. Suppose that on Monday, I perform 100 Navy SEALs in 1 hour. A week later, I perform 200 Navy SEALs in 3 hours. Well, I have improved my absolute volume, but I probably haven't got any fitter at all. But now suppose that on Monday, I perform 50 Navy SEALs in 20 minutes, and a week later, I perform 55 Navy SEALs in 20 minutes. If you think about it, the only way I could have done that is by doing one of two things. Either I learnt to perform the rep more quickly, or I learnt to make do with less recovery time between reps. And the cool thing is, whichever one of those two things I did, I will have created a physical stimulus, a training stimulus that forces a physiological adaptation in my body. Which is to say, there is no way of improving your volume to time ratio without becoming fitter in the process. And that is why we're all about volume relative to time, not absolute volume. Given that emphasis, we need a way of promoting improvement of volume to time ratio. And here's the thing, there's no way of improving your volume to time ratio without embracing some pain. Once the beginner gains are over in the Busy Dad program, you will come up against training plateaus where your body and your mind are telling you not to carry on. We all have a kind of default pain avoidance setting. And the only way of making improvement in your volume to time ratio is to find ways of shutting off that default setting. And what I've discovered, is that having the level system, which gives you incentives and goals that you're working towards, is a very effective way of giving you the empowerment that you need when you're deep in a workout to overcome those voices that are telling you to stop. When you're at minute 17 and you feel like vomiting, and you know that the only way that you can finish the workout and get the result you need is with a 3-minute sprint, and your whole body's screaming at you to stop, How do you do that sprint? If you haven't got a goal in this workout, there's no way you're doing it. But if beckoning to you like a lighthouse on the ocean, there is a training goal just 3 minutes away, okay, you might be able to use that goal to force yourself to embrace the pain that you need to embrace in order to improve your volume to time ratio. Okay, and so that is the first fitness related reason for the level system. Okay, it's going to help you overcome your natural pain avoidant setting so that you can embrace the pain necessary to improve your volume to time ratio and thereby become more fit. The second reason has to do with this profound reorientation in the way we think about training. This is something I touched on recently in the Move, Sweat, Suffer podcast. It's very important to me. Many of us think about training as a chore, a bit like washing the dishes. It's something that you have to do on a given day. It's not that satisfying to do, but if you don't do it, things start to go wrong for you. I do not think about training in those terms, because I'm not the kind of person who's very conscientious with chores. And so if I thought of training as a chore, I wouldn't really stick with it. Instead of thinking of training as a chore, I think of training as a project. It's more like building a house. When you're thinking of training as a project, the first thing is you're going to be more consistent. You're going to enjoy doing it. It's like the difference between working for yourself and working for someone else. That has to do with consistency. That's something I touched on in the podcast. But there's a second and deeper reason why thinking about training as a project is a really good idea. And let me briefly touch on why that is. I want to illustrate this with a personal anecdote. I want to tell you about where I was at in my life when I unlocked level 4 of the Busy Dad program. I had been plateauing with the Navy SEAL part of this buy-in for a long time. Okay, I was plateaued on 114 reps for 2 months straight, and I was kind of losing hope that I would ever be able to break that plateau. I'd convinced myself that I'd kind of reached my genetic potential with the Navy SEAL. And it was a really, really brutal week at home. Our daughter had a severe sleep regression. She was barely sleeping, and so nor were we. And in this week, I got 3 successive rejections for jobs that I'd applied for. These were jobs that I would have done so well. They were perfectly suited to my skills, and I wasn't even called to interview. I wasn't given any feedback on my application. And by the time the 3rd rejection came in the same week, it was kind of the straw that broke the camel's back. And I felt this overwhelming wave of dejection, and despair. And what I wanted to do was just sink into a depression, walk around feeling sorry for myself, maybe come up for air in a week or 2. And then I looked at my daughter, and I realized that you can't do that when you've got someone to take care of. That kind of self-indulgence is not really available to you when you have responsibilities. So I needed to find a way of dragging myself out of this mood that was overcoming me. And at that point, a voice in my head said, get outside and do 120 Navy SEALs in 20 minutes, and don't take no for an answer. My friends, that is exactly what I did. When I completed that workout, all of those feelings of dejection and listlessness evaporated. I was back to my usual energetic self. I was ready to be the father that I need to be to my daughter. I felt completely renewed. Why was that? For sure, it was partly just the endorphin rush of having trained, but it went so much deeper than that. It was the profound feeling of pride and self-respect that I felt, knowing that I had brought this 6-month project to completion. Through my own careful planning and determination, I had gotten my body to a point that I could do something that I could not have done 6 months before, and it was me who did that. And that feeling of self-respect and pride washed away those feelings of worthlessness and depression and dejection. And that's the thing. If you treat training like a project, whatever else is going on in your life, even if Rome is burning, everything is going wrong, for 80 minutes a week, you are building something that is yours. No one can take that away from you. And that is a very, very valuable thing to have in your life. Okay, training for me at this point is so far from being a chore that it is a sanctuary. When life gets too much, when my problems seem hard to deal with, I can go into my 80 minutes of training. Okay, I can get some distance from my problems, and I can come away from those 80 minutes feeling renewed and feeling ready to confront my problems. And I can feel that readiness and that renewal because of the feeling, the surge of pride and self-respect that I get, because I know that I am building something of my own. And that is the fundamental reason why we need to think of training as a project. And the only way we can think of training as a project is by setting ourselves goals. That is where the level system of the Busy Dad program comes in. So I hope you found this video helpful, my friends, okay, explaining the importance of the 4-tiered level system. In next week's video, I want to talk to you in a little bit more detail about the concrete steps that you need to take to get started with the Busy Dad program. So I'll see you then.